Ladies, there is a truth that most people do not want to accept. It is the idea that sometimes walking away is more powerful than staying. When a woman chooses to leave, she does not just leave behind a situation, she leaves behind the illusion of needing approval. And that is when she becomes unforgettable. Men are often drawn to beauty or charm, but what stays in their minds and hearts is not the one who gives everything without limits, but the one who has the strength to step away when things do not align with her values. The one who does not beg for attention, but commands respect by knowing her worth. This is why men fall deeply for the woman who leaves. She is not cruel, she is not unkind, but she understands the quiet discipline of detachment. It is a rare quality in a world where people are constantly seeking validation. When you leave, it is not an act of weakness, it is an act of clarity. It says, I have seen what you offer, and I know what I deserve. That quiet strength plants a seed in the mind of a man. It grows into curiosity, it grows into admiration, and sometimes it grows into love. Because a man realizes too late that what he thought was ordinary was extraordinary. The absence becomes louder than presence. The silence becomes more meaningful than words. To walk away is not to punish, it is to protect your soul. It shows you are not afraid to be alone, you are not afraid to lose something that does not serve your growth. And this fearlessness is magnetic. Men are drawn to what they cannot control. They are captivated by mystery. They are humbled by strength. So understand this: the moment you leave, you create space. Space for self-respect, space for peace, space for something greater. And often that is the moment someone realizes your value. They remember your laughter, they remember your patience, they remember the grace with which you carried yourself. And they wish they had done more. The woman who leaves does not do it out of anger, she does it out of wisdom. She knows when it is time to stay and when it is time to go. She is not trying to prove anything, she is simply being true to herself. And that truth is powerful enough to leave an imprint on a man's heart that no one else can erase. When a woman walks away, she is not just creating distance, she is making a statement that goes far beyond the surface. She is telling the world, and the man she is leaving behind, that she is not afraid to stand on her own. She values herself above temporary comfort or fleeting attention. This is not arrogance, it is self-respect. There is something undeniably powerful about a person who chooses self-worth over acceptance. It is rare, and that rarity is what makes it unforgettable. When a man sees a woman who refuses to stay in a situation that does not honor her, it shakes something deep inside him. We live in a time where many people settle because they fear loneliness. They stay in places that drain them because they fear change. But a woman who leaves breaks that pattern. She shows she is willing to risk discomfort to protect her peace. She is willing to walk into uncertainty rather than stay somewhere she does not belong. That is strength, and strength has its own kind of beauty. This act of leaving is not about anger or revenge. It is about knowing your value so clearly that you will not accept anything less. A man may not understand it at first. He may think it is a sign of coldness or pride. But over time he realizes that it is something far deeper. It is the quiet discipline of someone who has learned to love herself first. And when you meet a person like that, it leaves an imprint. You remember the one who did not compromise, who did not shrink herself to fit someone else's expectations. This is why leaving becomes so powerful. It separates you from the noise. It creates space. That space makes a man think. It forces him to reflect on what he took for granted. When someone is always available, it is easy to overlook them. When they choose to walk away, it is impossible to ignore them. Their absence becomes a mirror, and in that mirror a man often sees his mistakes, his assumptions, and his own weaknesses. A woman who values herself enough to leave is often the one who is remembered the most. She may not have said much. She may not have fought for attention. She simply carried herself with quiet dignity. and when she felt her presence was no longer valued, she stepped back. That single act creates a lasting impression. Men are often drawn to what they cannot fully grasp, and when a woman leaves, she becomes the unanswered question. What did I miss? What could I have done differently? These thoughts do not fade quickly. It is also important to understand that leaving does not mean giving up. It means protecting your heart from being mishandled. It means trusting that your worth does not depend on someone else's recognition. And when a man sees this kind of courage, it sparks something inside him. It makes him realize that not everything can be controlled, not everyone can be held by words alone. Some people require effort, respect, and commitment. And when he finally understands this, he begins to see that the woman who left was never ordinary, she was extraordinary, because she knew when to walk away. In the end, walking away is not just an action, it is a declaration. It says, I know who I am, I know what I deserve, and I will not stay where I am not valued. And that is why men fall deeply for the woman who leaves. She may have stepped away, but her strength stays behind. Detachment creates mystery, and mystery builds lasting attraction, because when someone steps back, they create a space that cannot be filled easily. A woman who knows when to detach does not do it to manipulate or to punish, but because she understands that her energy is precious. She does not waste it where it is not appreciated, and this simple choice makes her stand out. People are often attracted to what they cannot fully understand, and when a woman holds herself with quiet composure, she becomes intriguing. She does not reveal everything she feels, she does not explain every move, and this keeps a man thinking about her long after she is gone. Men are naturally curious creatures. They are drawn to challenges, to puzzles, to things that make them think beyond the obvious. When a woman detaches, she becomes something to think about, rather than something to take for granted. Her absence makes him wonder where she is, what she is thinking, and why she could walk away so calmly. That wonder is powerful because it turns ordinary moments into memories. It keeps her present even when she is not around. It makes her more than just another face in the crowd, because she represents something rare, a person who does not chase validation. Detachment is often misunderstood. People think it is cold or indifferent, but in reality it is strength. It is the ability to step back from noise and chaos and protect your peace. When a woman does this, she shows she has a life outside of someone else's opinion. She has passions, she has goals, she has boundaries. This creates an energy that is hard to ignore. Men notice it even if they cannot explain it. They sense that she is not clinging, she is not desperate, she is whole on her own. And when someone is whole, they are harder to forget. Mystery is not about playing games, it is about self-control. It is about not giving every detail away, not because you are hiding, but because you understand that your life is yours first. That sense of privacy makes a man curious. He begins to notice small things he would have overlooked before. He starts to wonder what she thinks, what she feels, and what drives her. This curiosity grows into admiration because mystery is the opposite of desperation. When a woman does not reveal everything at once, she invites discovery, and discovery is one of the most powerful forces in attraction. Think of it this way: when something is easily available, people tend to value it less. When something requires patience and effort, it becomes meaningful. The same applies to relationships. A woman who detaches does not give constant reassurance. She does not flood someone with attention. Instead, she gives enough to show care, but not so much that it loses meaning. This balance makes every interaction count. Every conversation, every glance, every moment becomes valuable because it is not guaranteed. That is what creates lasting attraction. When she leaves or steps back, she is not disappearing forever. She is simply showing that she can live without being dependent. And this quiet independence stays with a man. He will think of her when things are silent. He will wonder if she moved on, if she is happy, if she remembers him. The mind often clings to what is incomplete, and detachment leaves a sense of something unfinished. This is what keeps her memory alive. This is why men fall deeply for the women who know when to step back, because they create space for curiosity, and curiosity is the seed of desire. In the end, mystery is not created by pretending to be someone else. It is created by being truly yourself and refusing to give that self away too easily. Detachment is not about walls, it is about boundaries, and those boundaries are what make a woman unforgettable. Strength is magnetic because it cannot be faked, and when a woman shows strength, by leaving she stands apart from what most people expect. Many stay because they fear loss or discomfort. Many remain silent because they do not want conflict. But the woman who chooses to leave when she is not valued shows a courage that is rare. It is not easy to walk away from what is familiar even if it is unfulfilling. It is not easy to risk loneliness or judgment. Yet she does it anyway. That decision alone makes her unforgettable. It makes a man look at her differently because it shows that her happiness is not dependent on him. She can stand on her own, and that strength is deeply attractive. When a man sees a woman who is not afraid to leave a situation that does not serve her, he cannot help but respect her. It may sting, it may confuse him, but deep down he knows that kind of strength comes from self-worth. She is not waiting for someone to rescue her, she is rescuing herself. She is showing that she would rather face the unknown than stay somewhere she is undervalued. That choice can be unsettling, but it is also inspiring. Men often admire what they cannot control, and strength is something that cannot be owned. It is lived, it is shown in actions, not just words. This strength is not harsh or cruel. It is quiet, it is calm, it is steady. It is the kind that comes from understanding your own worth. A woman who leaves does not do it because she is cold, she does it because she knows what she deserves. And that is a lesson few forget. Her choice to walk away does not diminish her, it elevates her. She becomes a standard in his mind, a reminder of what true confidence looks like. And that image stays. It stays because strength creates respect, and respect builds attraction. Walking away also shows emotional maturity. It says, I do not need to fight for something that is not meant for me. I do not need to stay where I am not appreciated. It is not about pride, it is about peace. Men often find themselves thinking about the woman who chose peace over chaos, because that takes discipline. It is easy to argue, it is easy to demand, but it takes strength to simply walk away. That kind of composure leaves a mark. It shows that she is not afraid of endings, because she believes in beginnings. That belief in herself becomes magnetic because confidence is always attractive. This strength also teaches a silent lesson. It tells a man that love is not ownership and presence is not guaranteed. It reminds him that if he does not cherish what he has, it can be gone. The woman who leaves becomes the voice in his mind that says, do better, value more, respect deeply. And that voice stays long after she is gone, because strength always challenges weakness. When a woman leaves, she does not lose power, she gains it. She gains clarity, she gains freedom, she gains respect. Men may not say it out loud, but they notice. They remember the woman who had the courage to walk away. They may even wish they had given more, because they see now what it takes to choose yourself. That is strength in its purest form, and that is why it is magnetic. In the end, it is simple. A woman who leaves when she is not valued is not losing, she is leading herself to something greater. And the man who sees her strength will never forget her, because strength is the one thing that cannot be ignored. When someone is always around, it is easy to take them for granted. Their presence becomes a background noise, and their efforts are often unnoticed. But when a woman chooses to leave or step back, something shifts. Her absence speaks louder than any words could. It creates a silence that cannot be ignored. It forces a man to feel the space she once filled and to see the value he may have overlooked. This is why absence is powerful. It turns what was familiar into something missed. It turns routine into memory. It makes even the smallest details stand out in ways they never did before. When she is no longer there, her laughter is remembered more clearly. The way she listened, the way she carried herself, the little things she did without asking for recognition suddenly become meaningful. A man begins to realize how much life felt brighter when she was present. He might even wonder why he did not see it before. That is the power of absence. It turns the ordinary into something precious. It shows the weight of what was lost not by anger or confrontation, but by quiet distance. This is why men fall deeply for women who leave. The silence they create becomes louder than any argument. The distance makes a man reflect, and reflection often brings clarity. It is human nature to appreciate something more when it is no longer within reach. This is not because people are cruel, but because familiarity makes us blind. We forget the value of what we see every day. But when it is gone, the mind replays every moment, every word, every smile, and it becomes clearer than ever that it mattered. Absence also gives space for growth. When a woman steps away, she is not just leaving someone behind, she is choosing herself. She is showing that her time and energy are too valuable to be spent where they are not appreciated. That choice alone sparks respect. A man begins to see her strength and independence, and it changes the way he views her. The absence is not just a void, it is a statement. It says, I was here and I mattered, but I will not stay where I am not valued. In this space of absence, a man often feels something unexpected. Regret. He wonders why he did not give more effort, why he did not speak more kindly, why he did not recognize her worth when he had the chance. The mind is restless when it feels something is unfinished, and absence creates that feeling. It makes a man realize that what he lost is not easily replaced because it was unique. It was more than attention, it was connection. And now it is gone. Even time cannot erase certain absences. Sometimes it makes them stronger. The longer she is away, the more a man sees her in memories, in moments, in things that remind him of her. Her absence becomes a quiet teacher, reminding him of what happens when you take someone for granted. It is not bitterness, it is truth. It is the understanding that love is not guaranteed and presence is not permanent. And this is why women who leave are often remembered so deeply. They do not have to explain themselves. They do not have to shout their worth. They simply step back and let silence speak. And in that silence, the heart hears everything it once ignored. It is a language without words, but it says everything. It says you had something rare and now it is gone. So when a woman chooses to leave, she does not fade, she becomes even more vivid in memory. Because sometimes it is only in her absence that a man finally sees who she truly was. Self-respect is one of the most powerful forces a person can carry, and when a woman shows that she values herself more than constant availability, it changes everything. People often confuse love with endless giving, but true love cannot exist without boundaries. When a woman makes it clear that her time and energy are valuable, she sends a message that is impossible to ignore. She is not trying to prove she is better than anyone. She is simply showing that she knows her worth. And that is rare. When a man sees a woman who does not bend herself to fit into his world, every moment he realizes she is not desperate for attention. She is not waiting by the phone. She is not clinging to every word. She has her own life, her own priorities, and that is deeply attractive. It shows she is complete on her own and does not need someone else to validate her existence. That sense of completeness is powerful because it removes pressure and creates respect. Men are drawn to what feels whole and confident because it cannot be controlled or easily replaced. Being constantly available might feel like love, but it often leads to being undervalued. When something is always within reach, it is easy to forget how much it matters. But when a woman steps back and gives her presence, only when it feels right, her value rises. She is showing that her time is not a gift to be wasted. It is something to be cherished. Every call, every message, every meeting has weight because it is not guaranteed. That is how respect is built. A woman with self-respect is also unafraid of saying no. She knows that no is not rejection but protection. She understands that her peace matters more than pleasing others. This can be uncomfortable for some people, but it is always admired. Men remember the woman who stood firm when it would have been easier to give in. They remember the woman who valued her dignity over temporary attention. That memory stays because strength is always respected, even if it is not fully understood at the time. Self-respect is not about distance. For the sake of pride, it is about alignment. It is about saying, I will not settle for less than I deserve, because my life has meaning. When a man encounters this kind of energy, it changes his perception. He sees that she is not afraid of losing him, she is afraid of losing herself. And that difference is everything. It makes her unforgettable, because she represents something rare in a world where many people settle for less than they need. This kind of respect also creates balance. It teaches others how to treat you. When a woman is not always available, she shows that her world is full, her time is valuable, and her attention is earned. Men naturally rise to meet that standard because they know nothing worthwhile comes without effort. It is not about making things difficult, it is about making them meaningful. And when effort is required, the result is always more appreciated. The woman who carries self-respect is not hard to love, she is simply hard to forget. She does not need to remind anyone of her worth, because her actions do it for her. And this quiet strength is magnetic. It draws people in without noise, without demands, because it comes from a place of truth. So when a woman refuses to give herself away too easily, she is not cold or distant, she is wise. She is building a life that honors her value, and that kind of life will always draw admiration. And that is why men fall deeply for women who know their worth and never confuse love with availability. There is something unforgettable about a woman who is not afraid to lose someone. She does not cling, she does not beg, she does not bend herself to keep another person close. She knows that if something is meant to stay, it will stay, and if it does not, then it was never truly hers. This quiet confidence is magnetic because it shows strength. When a man sees a woman who will not compromise her peace just to be kept in someone's life, it stays with him. It makes him realize that she values herself more than she values approval, and that kind of courage is rare. Fear of losing someone often makes people do things they regret. They become anxious, they overcompensate, they accept less than they deserve. But the woman who is not afraid to lose someone is free from that fear. She does not let attachment blind her. She trusts that endings are not failures, they are redirections. This trust creates calmness, and men are drawn to that calmness because it is steady and sure. It is the kind of energy that cannot be shaken easily. A woman like this does not play games, but she has boundaries that are unshakable. She will love fully, but she will not love blindly. She knows when to give and when to step back. She does not confuse staying with loyalty, if staying means losing herself. And this is what makes her unforgettable. Men remember the woman who could have stayed, but chose to walk away when she was not valued. That they remember the woman who loved, but refused to beg for love in return. When someone is not afraid to lose you, it makes you respect them more. It makes you aware that their love is a gift, not an obligation. It is not something to be taken lightly, because it is freely given but never forced. Men often realize this too late. They remember the woman who smiled when she left because she knew her worth. They remember the woman whose silence said more than words ever could. This kind of strength also creates space for growth. When a woman is not afraid to lose someone, she is not desperate to hold on to things that are no longer working. She moves forward, she heals, she rebuilds. That ability to release is attractive because it shows she is not controlled by fear. Fear makes people stay where they do not belong. Freedom makes them choose where they thrive. And men are drawn to freedom because it shows strength of spirit. The absence of fear also changes how she loves. She loves deeply, but she never loses herself in the process. She can give everything and still remain whole because she knows that love is not ownership. She is not afraid of endings because she believes in beginnings. And this belief makes her radiant. It is hard to forget someone who carries this kind of peace because it is so rare. A man might move on, but the thought of her often returns. He remembers her calmness, he remembers her patience. He remembers how she could walk away without anger, because she trusted herself more than the situation. It is a memory that stays because it carries both strength and grace. So, when a woman is not afraid to lose someone, it is not coldness, it is wisdom. It is knowing that life is too precious to waste on fear. And that is why men fall deeply for the women who carry this kind of courage, because they show that the heart is strongest when it is free. Walking away does something that words cannot. It turns love into something bigger than a moment. It transforms it into a lesson, into a memory, into something that a man cannot easily forget. When a woman leaves, she creates a space that demands respect. It is not anger, it is not cruelty. It is an act of self-protection and strength. And that very act has a strange effect on the heart. What was once ordinary suddenly becomes precious. The little things he may not have noticed now echo louder. The conversations, the laughter, the way she carried herself, the kindness she gave without asking for much in return, they all become reminders of what he no longer has. A woman who walks away is not punishing anyone. She is protecting herself. She has decided that her dignity matters more than pleasing someone who cannot see her worth. And in that moment, she becomes unforgettable. A man often expects loyalty to mean staying no matter what, but true loyalty is to oneself first. When he sees that she can choose herself, it unsettles him in the best way. It forces him to question everything he thought he understood about love and effort. It makes him realize that not everyone will stay just because he expects them to. That realization plants a seed of admiration and often a seed of regret. The act of leaving adds weight to love because it separates it from dependency. Many people stay because they fear change or loneliness. But when a woman leaves, she shows that her love was never fear-based. She loved freely, but she is free to stop when it no longer honors her. This is why walking away can turn feelings of affection into something deeper. It creates respect because it shows courage. It creates desire because it creates scarcity. People value what is rare and what they cannot control. And often, it is not the loudest moments that stay with someone, it is the quiet ones. The memory of how she calmly decided to go, the strength in her silence, the grace in her exit, those things linger. They replay in his mind because they are different. Most people fight, most people plead. But the one who can leave with grace stays in the heart in a way no argument ever could. That is why men think about the woman who left. She becomes a reminder not only of love but of strength. There is also another truth. Leaving forces clarity. It makes someone see what they had and what they could lose. It brings a kind of honesty that words rarely do. A man might not say it, but the absence of someone he once took for granted can make him see things he never noticed before. It is only when she is gone that the reality sets in. She mattered more than he knew. And that is the kind of realization that stays. Even when time passes, the memory of her often remains, not because she was perfect, but because she chose herself. Because she showed that love does not mean sacrificing self-respect. Because she proved that strength and softness can exist together. Men are drawn to that. They respect it, they desire it, and they often wish they had valued it sooner. When a woman leaves, she carries with her the quiet power of knowing she deserved better. And that knowledge is not something that can be erased from another person's mind. It lingers like an unfinished sentence, a story that could have been different. And that is why men fall deeply for the women who walk away, because they see that some loves are strong enough to let go. So as we bring this message to its close, remember that everything we have explored points to one simple truth: strength, self-respect, and the courage to walk away are what make a woman unforgettable. It is never about playing games or proving a point. It is about knowing your worth and honoring it. When a woman chooses herself, she does not just inspire respect. She creates a lasting impact on those around her. The man who sees her leave will carry her memory, because she stood for something most fear to embrace: the belief that love should never cost you your dignity. To every woman listening, never be afraid of distance, never fear being misunderstood, and never underestimate the quiet power of valuing yourself. And to every man listening, cherish what is rare when you have it, because strength does not wait forever. Good luck to all of you in your journeys of love, growth, and self-discovery. Thank you for giving your time and heart to this message.